So John White here with the Luke 10 community, and in this video we're going to do some interviews of another leader team. This is the Monday leader team. We meet twice a month, and these are folks that have become good friends of mine, and just amazing that we can have these kind of relationships virtually. So I've asked each of them to share some of the ways in which this hangout, this leader team hangout, has been helpful to them. And we'll do a lot of what we do in these hangouts. We do in rounds. We just kind of so that everybody gets a chance to share, and we'll do that on this hangout too. So I'm going to start with Jen. And Jen, if you would introduce yourself and tell us where you are, and then what's one way that you have found these hangouts to be helpful to you?
Okay, my name's Jen, and I'm from Australia, but at the moment I'm living in Thailand, in a little town in central Thailand. That has personally been beneficial to me. I've just found it great to have people to talk to and to hang out with on a regular basis, because here in Thailand I'm really quite isolated. There's just a small group of 6 foreigners here. So having other people to talk to and relate to and be able to ask questions to about, you know, our home church and what we're doing and where we're going has just been fantastic. And like, the group are just so supportive to me, and they've just become friends even though they're on the other side of the world. And yeah, I'm just happy to have people to share with and to pray for, and for people to pray for me too. It's been awesome.
Very good. So it's been fun for us too to have a friend, you know, again on the other side of the world in Thailand. We're here in the U.S., and so that's just a real delightful thing the Lord has done. So Larry, if you'll unmute and share with us where you are and what you'd like to share about these hangouts.
Well, it's been 9 months that I've been part of the leader team, and people have come and gone a little bit, but we've had a pretty good core team. I feel like rubbing shoulders in fellowship with peers, people who have planted home churches or have a vision to plant a home church. For example, recently I felt like the Lord was speaking to me as we've considered our 10 to be prayers. I felt the Lord impressing 100 home churches that I could be involved with planning in some way. And the group didn't freak out. You know, they were supportive of that and affirming of that. They didn't think it was far-fetched based on what I've shared so far. It was no big deal for this leader team, and I felt very encouraged that my vision was from the Lord and that I wasn't making it up, and that felt really good.
Great. Thank you, Larry.
Sure.
And we actually have 2 or 3 other folks who are ordinarily with us and who are not able to be with us tonight, but we thought we should do this recording anyway. So we come over to Patrick and Susan. If you guys would unmute, and I think we'll start with Patrick and then Susan after that.
Well, I'm Pat, and this is Susan Schneiders. We're in Manhattan, Kansas, and we've been with this leader group for a couple of months now, probably 2 to 3 months, and I think one of the biggest benefits it's been for me is the sense that you're not alone in what you're doing. Sometimes when you're doing the things we are trying to do that are unconventional and untraditional in terms of pursuing the Christian faith, you can feel really out there. And so when you're able to have contact with other people who are experimenting in similar ways with different results, different ideas, it just helps you to feel like you're not alone and you're not all by yourself, and it's not all up to you, but that you actually have some support, even if it's may not be in your physical presence, but through this you're able to get that support and encouragement from others. So I think just the biggest advantage is just the encouragement and the support and friendships.
So Patrick, are you saying we're unconventional? Is that what you're saying?
I think you know we're unconventional.
No, I think
Yes,
that's
I am.
That's really true. And house churches in general, are smaller, and you can feel a little isolated. But I think the leader teams gives us a sense of the larger picture of what God is doing, and that's really important. So, Susan?
I think for me, the first thing that came to mind was just being able to be part of a community of practice with others where you're learning how to facilitate a group. Not only are you, it's not like a lectureship, but it's you're actually practicing with each other in the group and learning from one another what's working, what's not, and just being with like-minded people. I think just getting encouragement from that. I would probably echo what's already been shared as far as just the encouragement and feeling not alone, not isolated, but also listening to other people and what they're sharing and how they're putting this into practice in their own lives and in their own communities and in their own homes and all that, and being able to share ideas and being able to support one another and take on each other's missions where they're at. So I think that's probably been the biggest benefit for me, is just learning by practicing and being able to have a platform to listen and learn from other people.
Yeah, you use the term community of practice. That's one we talk a lot about. So this community it's not something that I lead all the time. Mm-hmm. We alternate different people facilitating our time together. And so a lot of the learning takes place just from person to person to person. There's no expert here, or maybe we'd say we're all experts. We're all on the journey of learning. And so in a sense we're all learners, but we're also all teachers. And it's a great way, I think, to learn in community. I think the best learning takes place in community. So, outstanding. Let's do another round. And again, you can, if you don't have anything else, that's fine. If you have something else you'd like to share or something you'd like to pick up with somebody else, we'll do that. So, Jen, let's come back to you if you'd unmute. And what else would you like to share with us?
I really liked what Patrick said about us being unconventional or conventional. And that's what I've actually found here in Thailand, because Christianity is like a very foreign thing for them anyway. And what we're doing is actually even more foreign. And we've found that a lot of people have had trouble, accepting it and, working out what's trying to have, what we're. But yeah, the more we talk to people and the more we've started, the more they're getting the idea, and that's really encouraging and exciting for me, that people are starting to see, well, there is another way to do things, and it could be a great way of doing things.
There's a sense in which all of us are pioneers, probably even more so, Jen, there in Thailand, but even in the U.S., doing house church is a pretty new idea for most folks, and so having other pioneers that we can encourage one another. I find there are different times. Sometimes one of us is up and others are down, and so there's a kind of a balancing that occurs with all that. Very good. Larry?
I feel like we can be authentic and transparent, and I feel like I can be myself with our leader team. And I would say there's not a lot of places where I feel safe to be myself, because if you function in this apostolic way that we're functioning, as planning home churches and doing things unconventionally, you're not accepted in most circles, and people might even think you're arrogant. They might think you're not authentic or walking with the Lord, and that you think you're somebody, but really this is just our place in the body. This is where we fit. And so I can be myself, and if I do get too strong or off base, the brothers and sisters in this call have no problem putting me in my place and correcting me, and I can be corrected by them, whereas someone who doesn't understand or get alongside you, it's not easy to be corrected by someone when you can't be yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm finding that my friendships are going beyond these leader calls, recently Jen has been communicating. It's been very edifying to me. And at different times, different ones have, had compassion if I'm struggling, or me with them. And so I think the friendships are starting to transcend these bi-monthly calls.
Excellent. That is so encouraging. And I think you're right. There's I think a high level of maturity, I think, with the folks that are on the calls. So it feels like these are peer relationships. And I've heard somebody say, this is one group where I don't have to be the leader. I'm with other people who are leaders, and it's great to have a group like that. Great insights, Larry.
Thank you.
Okay. Patrick and Susan, coming over to you again, and unmute there.
Yeah, I would like to piggyback on what Larry shared. An idea in connection with that is that these leader hangouts, they're not competitive. I think in some situations, and I've had my share in my past, where leader gatherings of sorts were a competition of image. Mm-hmm. And how's my ministry doing versus your ministry, and who has the bigger church, and who has this and that, and there's just none of that here, which I'm very encouraged by. And that's always the hesitation I would have in any sort of leader gathering of some sort, is just that pride that so easily seeps in to those sorts of settings. And I'm just really encouraged that that's not the situation with these at all. Mm-hmm. It's not about competition. It's not about ego. It's not about trying to compare yourself with each other. It's simply learning from one another and encouraging one another. And so that's the one thing I'd like to follow with Larry. And the other thing I had in mind was just the creativity that comes from it. When you're able to talk to people who are doing different things, you'll get an idea or a conversation they had that triggers a thought in your mind of someone who's in your life. Mm-hmm. that will suddenly be very relevant for. So the sharing of ideas and creativity is a blessing as well.
I agree with you. I think a lot of times things that you will share spark thoughts in me, sort of a spontaneous learning that takes place in the process. Yeah. Susan?
I think I would definitely echo what Pat said about as far as the competitiveness or competition that goes on sometimes, or that we've experienced in our past. But at the same time, one of the great things of being involved in the group is the encouragement to have a vision through the 10-2B round, and remembering what your mission is, what your vision is, getting encouragement to be steadfast in that, or to listen for something different from the Lord, and not being able to feel authentic about what you're doing. Not having to meet someone else's goals, or but being able to listen to the Lord together and set those goals that you feel like He's leading you to, instead of what other people are leading you or pushing you to do. So, yeah, I think that's one of the great things about this group.
You mean in the past there have been people that have pushed you to do things?
Oh, yes.
I think that's well said. There's a balance between being sort of spurred on in a good sense, but yet not pressured, and everybody kind of gets to be where you are in the process, whatever that is, and accepted in that. So,
right.
Well, thank you guys. Again, there are usually a couple more other folks that are with us, but I thought it was important for everyone to hear from these friends, and thanks so much for sharing your heart with all of this. So people that are watching the video, if you'd like to know more about Leader 101, if you go to our website, LK10.com, and go down to the bottom, number 4 is where it talks about Leader 101. So we are seeking to expand these groups. We've got 10. We actually started our 11th group just this last week. This is a group for leaders in South America. Tony Daniels is leading that one, and they're conducting the whole meeting in Spanish, which I think is really pretty cool. So we hope to see literally dozens of these leader teams birthed around the world. So thanks so much, you guys.